Every name you drop got roots in the grind. History speaks loud, just listen to the line. We struggle to shine, we honor the climb. We're losses hit deep, but sharp in the mind. Real don't flex, they just move with weight. Welcome to the legacy, room A-108, go to the legacy. Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back to room A-108. I'm your host, David. Joining me as always, my co-host, CJ. And today we have a special guest in the building. He was part of Thornwood's legendary 94 football squad that tied the school record with a quarterfinal run. He also played at St. Xavier during the early days of the program. And then he built a powerhouse wrestling career that produced over 20 state medalists, multiple state champs, and an All-American. These days, he's helping shape the future of MMA as an assistant matchmaker for CFFC, one of the top feeder systems into the UFC. Everybody, please welcome my brother, Rod Galvan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's family, man. So
Yeah.
You may want to wait. So I think the Galvan name and Thornwood kind of go.
I've been in there. I've been in there before.
Yeah. So Rod is actually the OG Thornwood person. So anybody that doesn't know, Coach Galvan is a Thornton alumni. So Coach Galvan's senior year, Thornwood was built, and that's when it started its existence. So being a senior, he had the option to go to Thornwood or stay at Thornton. And of course, he spent his whole career at Thornton. So he stayed there. Where we lived, we were in Thornwood's district. So Rod was actually the first one to kind of welcome the Galvan family to Thornwood. So it wasn't for you, man. And actually, you were going to go to Marion.
I was.
Yeah, so I'm glad we didn't do that.
Me too.
Yeah, this wouldn't be a show. But first I want to talk about, of course, room A-108. We have our Thornwood ties. So now the Thornwood program is coming back in a great way, which is awesome. They're reaching out to the alumni, which is a great thing. I love it. CJ and I plan on joining, supporting as much as we can. So, but you were back in the heyday.
Yeah.
Thornwood was was it the Sick of Blue when you were there?
Sick of East.
Sick of East.
Before the colors, yeah. It was.
So tell us about your night. I know, but I want you to tell your story about the 94 run. Was that your junior year?
No, 94 was my senior year.
Okay.
93, we made it to the second round. We lost St. Rita senior year. Quarterfinals, lost HF, who went on to win the state championship that year.
And so
it was close too.
Yeah. And anybody that doesn't know Illinois football, playoffs in Illinois are a huge deal. At that time you had to be 6-3 to qualify.
Yeah, and we barely got in.
Yeah. So tell us about that just that year in general.
It was crazy because we opened up against Joliet, and that's when they merged their schools. So they were preseason ranked number 1 in the state. And we didn't have Michael Gooden, who was our all-state running back at the time. We had our backup running back in there. They ended up beating us by a touchdown. And then Thornton beat us, and they beat HF, and HF beat us. So we were sitting at 1-3 at the time. Then 2-3, beat Thornridge and Julian, which we were supposed to. But then we had to win out in order to make the playoffs because you had to be 6-3. And we knew we were going to be Bloom Trail, and Eisenhower. But because something happened in there, we were only 5-3, so we had to get one more game in there, and it was Lincoln Way. And Lincoln Way, they were on their way up, and it was weird because we had to play Bloom on a Friday, then we had to throw Lincoln Way in there on a Tuesday. It was Tuesday night, and then that Saturday we had to play Bloom Trail. And it was the same day as the ACT. So we all the seniors and had to get up and do the ACT and then go right into our 1 o'clock game. So we had 3 games in 10 days, and we had to win out after we lost to Thornton or HF, whoever we lost to last. And so we got in there at 6-3, and we were 6-3 last seed. Thornton was 9-0 first seed. They had Reggie Gage, all-state running back. They had both the Randall L's, Antoine and Curtis, Ty Streets, Jack Gold, an all-state tight end, Napoleon Harris. They had, 3 or 4 guys in the NFL. And we were a bunch of D3 players going against, D1 players. And we ended up beating them and upsetting them in the first round of the playoffs. But we knew we were better than them. I felt we could have beat them during the year. I was happy we got to play Thornton in the first round because I knew we were a better team than them.
Yeah, I remember that game. I mean, 94. I was only 9 years old at the time, but I remember just hearing about Ty Streets. Ty Streets, if I'm not mistaken, he was the number 1 ranked receiver in the country, or close to it.
One of the top in the country.
Yeah,
he ended up playing with Brady at Michigan.
Yeah.
The next year.
Come on now, I know. But I just remember that game vividly because, I mean, of course, I was rooting for you because you're my brother, but it's just like it's Thornton, man. It's like they had because simultaneously it was kind of Thornton was known for their basketball too and coming up at that time, so it was just like Thornton was that was District 205 at the time.
The crazy thing is, early 90s, like when I was in 7th and 8th grade, Thornton was a powerhouse football school at the time. I think they won a state championship my 8th grade year, and then they were like barely out of the playoffs. And then that year when Ty Streets were there and Randall Ellett quarterback, they beat HF, they beat us, they beat everyone that year in the regular season.
Man, well, I don't really have a football question to ask. I didn't at Thornwood, but you rattled off a lot of names from that time, and everybody knows Southside and the South suburbs have always had, incredible athletes. So my question would be, what was it like, in the early 90s with all of those, great football, basketball players, but also at that time was you had Cliff Floyd, Mark Mulder, Thornwood baseball was on the run that they were on. Legendary Hall of Fame coach John Dunlop, my former coach. So was there any, crossover, any memories you got from, those, guys went on to play in major leagues? And was there any, I don't know, maybe behind the scenes stories on guys like Cliff? I know a few. Some people told me stories about Cliff, but do any of those guys did you have any interactions with some of those guys?
Cliff Floyd actually graduated before I got to high school. So when I was there, Michael Blair was the big stud athlete at the time. Reggie Torian, Mark Mulder was my age, so we graduated together. But I did shot put my freshman year, and Michael Blair was a shot putter as well. So I was with him all the time. Just cool. They just a lot of clowning around and stuff. Like we were shot putters, so we were not on the track running with everyone. We were just over our little section. You throw, and then you just wait around for everyone else to throw when everyone's waiting around. We're clowning around as an offensive lineman, a couple running backs. I think Don Holmes, principal at Thornwood, he was one of them as well. So it was just really cool, just hanging out. It's more like you were just out there hanging out because we were discing and shot putters. I only did it freshman year though. I didn't like it. But they were really, really good in track as well. They were really good in track.
So I think that's got to be the longest running. I mean, that's got to be what Thornwood's got to be known for. It's got to be track, because even when I was there for my freshman and senior year, they won state 4 years in a row. So I didn't know they were even. I mean, I know we had individual accolades with Reggie Torian and everything, but I didn't know we were powerhouse team wise.
If you go in the walk the wall of Thornwood, you look at the pictures, especially in that one hallway by the indoor track. There's just so many track pictures, and you'll see like 10 of them from like 1992, and then like 10 of them from 1993, just event after event after event, same people. And it seems like there was like 4 or 5 athletes just carried us that whole time because they were just racking up points. I mean, I think Reggie Torian won in like 4 or 5 events in 1 year. It's crazy.
Ended up being an Olympian. So
yep. He played football too. He played football.
Yep. But to jump back on football, I just, before we kind of go to the next topic, we were talking before we got on here. I mean, it's my brother, so we have conversations all the time off camera. So I know where this conversation is going to go. I know what he wants to get off his chest. So I'll lead you to that question. But talk about Michael Gooden, right? Me personally, okay. So we've had Leslie Majors on already. This is my opinion, and this is just what I've seen. In person, Leslie's the best person I've ever seen play football in person on a high school level. But if I were to go position-wise, the best running back I've ever seen in person. And I've seen a lot of damn people play. Michael Gooden is the best running back I've ever seen, at least.
Me too.
And if you want to just go and narrow it down to say Thornwood, I would say, yeah, I mean, he's the only person.
Best running back in Thornwood history for sure.
Yeah, and he's on the wall. And very few people are on the wall on Thornwood for football because, I mean, we don't have that team accolade. We have the individuals. I mean, Daryl Campbell, Gooden, and Brett Larson. I think those might be the only ones.
There's a couple like earlier on, like in that hallway all the way at the end, like Floyd Fields, and there's a couple like right when the school opened. But I think those were like Thornton or Thornridge guys that came over. They actually did choose to come over the Thorn plate, so they're on the wall. But yeah, they're not since that like 90, 91 team. There's not a lot at all.
Yeah. Well, I say that to say that quarterfinal game, HF. It was HF. Yeah. You're on the 1 yard line. You're trailing. A touchdown would have gave you the win, and you all would have moved on to the quarterfinal, and you ultimately would have played a team that you have beaten already.
No. So we were on. It was 4th and 1,
right?
But we weren't in the goal line, but we were.
I knew it was a short distance.
We were marching down the field, and we had Michael Good, and he kind of did like a Walter Payton, like we'd hand him the ball up, and he would jump over. He would just leapfrog over everyone, me, the guards, everyone, and so we practiced a play all week. Fake it to him. He jumps over the pile. Quarterback rolls out, hits the tight end on a dump. So it's 4th down and 1. Head coach says, Gooden over the top. And I'm saying, no, let's work on that play we've been working on all week for this situation. And off in the corner, no, we're going to go quarterback sneak. And we didn't get it. They run the clock out. They go on to the semifinals and just blow Evanston out. And then they play Naperville North in the state championship. Now, do I think we would have beaten Naperville North in the state championship? Probably not. Well, we would have made it there. We did not. They played us a couple times. My sophomore and junior year, and I mean they beat the hell out of us.
Yeah, and
bad.
And I remember that just being a heartbreaker game. And it was kind of like the Marshawn Lynch situation all over again too, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got short yardage situation, and you don't give it to the money back.
Right.
You got to go fancy. But yeah, it's awesome because being young, and I know you shared this experience too, because before you got in high school, your brother, they were the last team. Recently, within the last 5 years, I think we made it back to the playoffs, but there was a big gap where your brother was on the last team that made it. So I know you were able to appreciate those guys and the success of Thornwood, and being young and being able to appreciate seeing you all play, man. It's just awesome seeing Thornwood in their heyday like that. So
now a lot of the guys I played with, not so much graduated with, but when I was a senior, I think a couple of the juniors and guys who were sophomore than freshmen, they're actually assistant coaches out there now, like Langdon Maddox, guys.
Yeah, I know Langdon well, and then Langdon real well. Also, there's a couple guys I played with, Goldie, Oscar Murphy. He's a coach as well. So I know a couple other coaches in the past. Leslie did coach for a while. Jason Jones coached there for a while. So yeah, there's been quite a few alumni, and I've always said the best coaches are alumni because they actually have a stake in it. They have the passion for it or whatever. So yeah.
So you wrestling now? Still wrestling coach now? Or?
I coach wrestling. Yeah, I'm the head girls wrestling coach at Bartlett High School, which we're a Memphis suburb.
So, I mean, I know, of course, because you're my brother, man. So I know the answers to these questions, but I gotta ask you for the followers, man. But you started off coaching boys wrestling, Georgia.
Yeah.
West Hall.
I was at Meadow Creek for 3 years. I coached 2 years. First year I was assistant coach. Then after that, the head coach left. So my second year ever coaching wrestling, other than, when I'm in college, helping dad out, just going in there whenever. Second year wrestling coach, all of a sudden I'm the head coach. And I coached there for a year, and then I went on to West Hall up in Northeast Georgia for 5 years. And I coached football too at the time, and then I kind of shied away from football and just stuck with wrestling. But girls wrestling wasn't a thing back then. If girls wrestled back then, they were wrestling against the boys.
Yeah, exactly. And you had to join the boys team in order for girls to wrestle. But now, I mean, it's an Olympic sport now. How long? It has only been a few Olympics where it's been an Olympic.
Yeah, 2008, 2012, something around there.
It's only been a handful.
Yeah.
And now it's been more competitive. And we were just talking about this, but with the rise of women's combat sports, you know, MMA, I quoted, you know, I said this is my hot take, not Rod's. So the boom of Ronda Rousey, the attention she brought to the sport, although she wasn't a wrestler, but just the fact that a woman can be in that position as far as like a combat competitor, you know, and still get the pay-per-view sales and everything like that. You know, I think that brought, and honestly, it did the same thing for us. And when we coach wrestling, the rise of UFC, people want to know how to wrestle because you got to know how to wrestle to be a UFC fighter. Yeah. If you don't know wrestling, you're not going to make it far. But I mean, would you agree that
definitely that like Ronda, she showed that you can do a combat sport and still be feminine about it. So, you know, it got to popular that, and, you know, as well as I do, wrestling is not like any other sport. Wrestling a lot of times is a family sport where usually if you have one sibling who's really dominant, usually the younger siblings are really good too. Like, you know, the Rudiger family at he was at Joliet Catholic, but they're more of a wrestling family. And you say that out now, no one really talks about the movie. It's like, oh, yeah, that's that wrestling family, because there's like 7, 8 brothers that all wrestled. So
coaches too.
Exactly. So, you know, you have the popularity from, you know, the female MMA. Then you got these wrestling families, and you may have like 3 boys that wrestle, and they may have a younger sister who's always tagged along and went to the tournaments, you know, with the families. Now they're like, oh, hey, I can do this now, and I can do what my brothers did. And next thing you know, this is the fastest growing high school sport in the country.
Yeah. So this is how many years
for
coaching? This
is my 3rd year as a head girls coach at Bartlett.
So, I mean, I'm sure you know about sibling rivalry, man. It's all in good love, but of course, here in Illinois, my dad, Coach Galvan, he was the head wrestling coach. My brother, our brother, Dan, was the JV coach / assistant varsity coach, and I was the freshman coach. But when Dad took over the athletic director position, he had to spend more time doing that. So Dan and I kind of took over as like assistant varsity coaches or whatever. But, you know, eventually Chris Williams was our state champ. So I'm going to go to sibling rivalry is because he had been coaching longer than us, but he never had a state champ. So we always had
at the time.
And we always had that hanging over his head. But now you're transferred over to girls wrestling, and you had 4-time
state. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
and a national champion. She won a national folk style championship.
And so now he one-upped us. I mean, although Chris was a 3-time state champ, man, to me, personally, one of the best wrestlers I've ever experienced. And it's not like, I mean, he took second his senior year, so he has 3 firsts and a second, so no slouch.
And the guy he lost to was awesome.
And he was also, the guy he lost to was a 3-time state champ himself. So, but of course, he's got to one-up us, and now he get a state champ, and he's got a 4-time state champ. So
big bro came back for that get back.
I will say this though, a couple wrestlers on their team, I now signed them to multi-fight deals with CFFC, so a few of them are now fighting for me. So they had some studs.
Yeah, he transitioned for me.
But I got before we transition to that, I got a question. One thing we always hear when it comes to football is like how well wrestling translates to football, especially, I guess you would say, you know, for the guys in the trenches, for the linemen. For the casual fan or the casual follower who's watching, who may not understand that, you know, that relationship, how would you best describe why linemen who wrestled, or why would wrestlers make the best linemen, I guess would be the best way.
Couple is footwork for sure. I mean, wrestlers, they're constantly moving their feet. Leverage, staying low, because in wrestling, if you stand straight up, I mean, you're screwed. You're gonna take it down every time. Hand placement, body positioning. I mean, all those things offensive linemen and defensive linemen need. So that's why. And then you got just the whole mental toughness part of it. I mean, especially like, I was fortunate enough to at Thornwood at the time. We platooned. We had an offense and a defense. No one really played on both sides of the ball. But some of these schools, they don't come out of the game. If you can, a 6-minute wrestling match, you're more tired after a 6-minute wrestling match than if you never come off the football field for 3 hours. So just the conditioning aspect of it, the mental toughness, you're like, okay, I can get through this football game because I've wrestled 5 wrestling matches, and when I wrestled for 30 minutes, in one day, or 36 minutes in one day. So just everything from the footwork, the hand placement, body positioning, leverage, all that transfers over to good offense and defensive line.
I think one of the things that you can almost guarantee every April, when the draft comes around, every time there's a really highly touted lineman that goes, first round, for top 5, top 10, somewhere in his little breakdown, they're going to say, state championship wrestler. I think somebody, Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham was a really good wrestler. I think some stat they were running off when he got drafted, like I think he never lost a wrestling match. I don't know. It was something crazy, but the point is, every time, a really good lineman is drafted, you're going to hear something about his wrestling career, which is, why I wanted to ask.
You have wrestlers like Gable Steves who never played football a day in his life, and the Bills gave him a tryout. Same with Brock Lesnar. So you'll see a lot of these heavyweight All-Americans and national champions. They just get NFL tryouts just because they're big guys that can move.
Yeah, I know I'm not the interviewee, but I'm just wrestling and football, like Rod was saying, it goes hand in hand just for like the mental toughness and the core balance and everything. But it's not just linemen either. Like if you remember Roddy White, he was a multi-time state champ in wrestling. So
he was a spokesperson for USA Wrestling too.
Yeah, and it's
Ray Lewis.
Yep. Yeah. And the thing about wrestling, unfortunately, is while there is a professional wrestling, that's not professional. They call it amateur wrestling, but it's not that, like, there's nothing after college. There's Olympics, but there's no paycheck in wrestling unless you become a coach.
They're actually trying to do that now. It's it was Hulk Hogan at the time until he passed, but Eric Bischoff, the old WCW guy, and then Izzy Martinez, they're starting a thing called like real freestyle wrestling, or like something freestyle wrestling, and they're actually creating like storylines, like getting to know these wrestlers as individuals, and like they're doing like call outs like Chael Sonnen and Tito Ortiz, when they're doing these. So they're doing these and they're getting paid for it. I don't know how much, but they're trying to do it. So
and there have been a couple attempts in the past. They've tried to do it. Wrestling is just different, but it'd be awesome. I would love to see
Real American Freestyle is called. Yeah.
And so also, I mean, I'd let you know too, and also the casual fan watching, America is we're already different, right? We have everything different. Our math is different. Our measuring system is different. We have folk style wrestling is what everyone's used to in this country. Nobody else does folk style. Once you get past right where we're at, like as far as college, there's no more folk style wrestling anywhere. Okay. Olympics is freestyle and Greco. So all your life you're doing one style and one form of wrestling, and when you graduate, that's it. There's nothing else going on.
And that's why our women's team on the Olympic level is so good, because they actually do freestyle in college. Guys, men are still doing folk style, and the ladies are doing it in college, so they're getting more matches into that style. So it's really benefiting.
Yeah.
Big time.
So a good transition too is, since we're talking about wrestling, now to go to what started off with your V3 days, eventually going to where you're at now with CFFC. Take us along your journey and how you got into MMA, how you got to where you're at now. And just kind of let us know.
So, as you know, we were always intrigued with fighting ever since we were kids, like who would win, a karate guy, a kung fu guy. And we were always, just curious about it. So we were at Family Video one day, and they had like UFC 1 through 6 on there. And I'm like, oh, we're going to watch all these. And so we did. We rented 6 of them, and we all thought it was going to be like a Van Damme cigar movie where everyone's doing these fancy blocks, and it was anything but that. They were going on the ground and doing submissions, and it was UFC 2. Dan Severn was on there, and his style was just wrestling. I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to get killed. All he knows how to do is wrestle, and it's going to make us look bad. Well, he made it all the way to the finals and was just destroying these like karate black belts, taekwondo guy. He was just taking the ground and just TKOing them quick too. So, it was just that I fell in love with MMA before it was even called MMA. So transferred later on to the UFC was in Memphis, and it was Diego Sanchez against Joe Stevenson in the main event for the title. Like Frank Mir, Shekong was the co-main event, and it was in Memphis at the FedEx Forum. My wife and I were there, and I'm like, man, I got to get involved in this. I've always wanted to be part of the fight business. And my wife, well, you should do something about it. I didn't know what to do, so I just hit up all the local, regional Memphis promotions in the area. Say, all the owners, I want to be involved. I'm like, well, that's pretty vague. What do you want to do? Do you want to promote? Do you want to matchmake? Do you want to write? Do you want to manage fighters? And I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, I'm an English teacher, so I guess I can write. So someone steered me toward Alan Searcy, who wrote for AroundTheOctagon.com, and I started writing for them. And then kind of created some controversy because Tennessee is 4 major cities. You got Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, and Memphis. And there's these MMA promotions throughout the state. I'm like, especially with the amateurs, let's do a ranking system where we rank the top fighters in Tennessee and, come up with set rules. Like what do you have to do to be considered to be ranked? And we posted it on the website. Man, we were just getting pages and pages of fighters calling each other out, cussing each other out. So, all these, promotions, including V3, where, it was easy to match the best fights out there because they were all calling each other out because they wanted to be ranked on that website. So then at the time, V3 Fights was the biggest promotion in Tennessee, actually in the whole Mid-South area. And they brought me on to do their PR because I was already writing, and I was already doing like a podcast before they were called podcasts. Everyone called it internet radio at the time. And I was doing like a weekly show. So V3 brought me on to do PR, write articles and things like that, set up interviews. And so I did that. And then one day the Matchmaker just fell out, just didn't do it anymore. So we had a show coming up and the owner's like, hey, can you do this show? Can you put a card together? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I did. And I've been matching ever since. And so I just worked my way up from, a website writer to V3's director of PR to their Matchmaker.
And then I'll let you tell it, but I mean, now you're with CFFC.
Yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know, CFFC is the main feeder program into the UFC. So if you succeed at CFFC, you end up being a UFC fighter.
Usually you get the call to UFC. We've had a few already, like in the past, like month and a half, 2 months, people getting called up.
And if not UFC, I mean, you get Bellator, any one of the major
PFL, yeah.
PFL. So, how was that transition from V3 to CFFC?
So when we were with V3, there was a thing called Alliance MMA where all these awesome promotions were under one umbrella, and CFFC was in it, and so was V3 Fights. So we already were kind of working together. Well, the whole alliance thing didn't work out, so everyone kind of went back to their own regular promotion. So then the pandemic hit. And if you remember, Vince McMahon with WWE and Dana White in the UFC, they're the only ones doing anything.
And sports, yeah.
And NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, everything. They weren't doing anything. Dana White's like, I'm going to run my business. And, he built the PI and all that, and, the Apex at the thing, and started doing shows. Well, they have UFC Fight Pass, which is their streaming things. They're like, we're going to keep this going too. So CFFC was already on Fight Pass, and they had to do, I think they were contracted for like 12 shows a year. And they were like, okay, so we have 12 shows, and there's a pandemic where nothing was going on. A lot of gyms weren't open, but they still had to do these shows. So they, our owner, Nick Harmeyer, and Rob Haydack, the owner of CFFC, were already super tight. They were just, texting, talking over the pandemic, and CFFC acquired V3 Fights. Like, we want your team, and we want to acquire you guys, and we want to do shows in Mississippi, use your fighters. So they needed to, fulfill these dates. So they acquired us, and they ran shows in Philly, and we did shows in Mississippi. And that's how, they acquired V3 Fights, and they kept me on, they kept Nick, they kept Jason on. So, that's how and now I'm the assistant matchmaker for them.
Is there anything that you guys do kind of differently than the UFC, or is everything pretty much streamlined the way that they do it?
No, we're basically, our job is to find the next badass, the next superstar, find out who they are earlier in their career, kind of groom them to get the call up to the UFC. So, I mean, basically, we're their AAA. We're like their minor leagues. We're their Division I, football thing. And when you win our championship, a lot of times they get a short notice call up to the UFC. But, a lot of these guys, everyone knows the superstars. They know Alex Pereira. They know DC. They know Aljamain Sterling. Well, it's not like those guys are just that good. I mean, they are, but they have guys in the gym pushing them and their training partners. That iron sharpens iron. So they'll have these guys who are 4-0, 5-0, who are their main training partners. Those are the guys that we go after, because if they're, like Alex Pereira, we have a guy, his name is Gurum. He is one of his main training partners. He's 4-0 right now. He's going to be fighting for our title against our champion, who is at Jackson Wink, one of John Jones' training partners. So we're getting these guys teammates, they're training partners, and they're putting them in that, and we put them on the fight on, and then they get the call up. And we've had a few.
And what's pretty cool too is like a lot of times Rod will reach out to Dan and I, and we'll talk about Midwest. So everything is territorial, right? So a lot of people down south, they're known for their stand-up. Midwest, we're known for our wrestling. Midwest in general is known for wrestling, but even in MMA specifically, a lot of the guys, like I said, there's no professional wrestling to go to, so a lot of guys make that transition over. So it's just awesome. Like Rod said earlier, a couple of the guys that we coached, that Chris Williams, 3-time state champ, he's part of your promotion. He's undefeated still, right?
Yeah.
He's undefeated. And Paul Samaniego, he's also, he's a heavy hitter there. He just won his last fight, and he's got another one coming up again. Yeah. And it was awesome, man. It's just, being a coach, we're all coaches here. Seeing both of them, I was able to take a trip. I would say I wasn't even going, because they fight in Tunica. But I was going to Georgia, and it just so happened the time I was making a road trip to Georgia, he was having a fight. So we left a day early to watch the fight, and both Bo and Chris were on that card, and both won by stoppage, by TKO. And just having that coach moment, man, and I was in the crowd. And I wasn't just a fan, man. I wasn't coaching them. I'm yelling at them like I'm the coach, man. And it was just awesome. But to be able to but it's not like Rod is just asking us but he's like, man, who's serious about fighting? Who would be a good fighter? And then Bo right away for Gilbert Grappling, which is probably awesome. The biggest program in the Midwest.
They're tough, man. Yeah. They're tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So they both fight out of there. So no, that's pretty cool to see that. And Neil knows both of them.
Yeah.
Have you seen him at CFFC fights, or do you just happen to cross paths with Neil Magny at all? I know you've seen him
more.
Times.
I talked to him more so when I've known him. I know Neil from you guys and just I've seen him at shows, not CFFC, but I've seen him at other shows before. we were at a UFC after party, and he was there with Curtis Blades, and we were hanging out and stuff. So I mean, I've known him for a while.
As someone who's kind of been, you mentioned, going to, family video, and so I kind of feel like you're somebody who's been in it from the beginning, from the ground floor. So I guess it's easy to ask, a question that we asked Neil, who would be on Rod Galvan's Mount Rushmore of UFC.
So there's different ways I can put that. Do you want the 4 best fighters or impact on the sport? I can do both.
I'd go 4 best fighters. Go, because impact is you can be impactful and not be that great of a fighter. And I think I know you're going with that list, and that list might make me mad. So I'll go with your best fighter.
I can give you both, but yeah,
we'll do both.
All right, best fighters: John Jones, Anderson Silva, GSP, Habib.
Okay, yeah, it's really similar to Neil's, except and admittedly Neil said Matt Hughes was a biased one, but he had the same ones besides that. Yeah. And what's your impactful one?
All right. Well, you got to put Royce Gracie in there because without him, no one knows what MMA is.
Interesting, man. I did not think you were going. I agree. I agree 1,000%. I didn't think you were going to put him up there.
I mean, UFC 1, he showed everyone what jiu-jitsu, what jiu-jitsu is all about, and everyone's like, I got to learn this, because the smaller guys beating the bigger guys. So just
without throwing a punch.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, he'd beat a guy with one boxing glove, but let's not talk about that. But okay, so you got Royce Gracie because he is the pioneer.
Yep.
Chuck Liddell, because he brought it to the mainstream.
That's the name I didn't want to hear, but I agree.
But he brought it to the mainstream.
I get it.
After, he was on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter as a coach, and everyone was watching him because he was knocking people out. So you still got to put John Jones on there, because he's the greatest fighter ever. And then just Conor, the way he's doing the whole self-promotion thing, just the way he sells himself, he's his own, his own company, and the way he sells himself and sells the pay-per-views. I mean, how can you not put, his numbers speak along, Then, honorable mention, you can throw Ronda Rousey in there for the whole, female part of it, Chael Sonnen, because he was Conor before it was Conor, but Conor was a world champion, so two division world champion. So those are the impact ones, and you got the best.
I think it's ironic that that Conor ended up doing the crossover exhibition with Floyd, because I would say that Conor is probably MMA's Floyd Mayweather.
And that was legit. That wasn't exhibition either. So that actually, but still.
I call it exhibition because it wasn't a real boxing match.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know.
Hear that, man. You know what I'm saying?
He did win rounds against him, though. He did win those early rounds. He won.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I ain't listening to it. We're going to start a whole new episode.
Have you heard the Stephen A. Smith story about that?
About how Floyd said, I'm going to do this.
Exactly what he was going to do.
Did he really say that? I don't know.
But it makes sense, though.
It does.
Because it makes sense. But
Floyd's a brilliant fighter. He's.
So I'll preface this. It's sibling rivalry, man. But so, we love our boxing. Rod doesn't dislike boxing. He's more so a fan of MMA. Mm-hmm. So me and him have this natural boxing versus MMA. Like Rod is always quick to say boxing's dying, man. It's a dying sport. But you've been saying it for like 15 years. And someone always ends up coming to save the day.
Yeah, Dana White.
See?
Tell me why. The three biggest events in boxing history, you got Floyd and Manny, which happened way too late. So, yeah, that's one. And then you got Canelo Crawford, who promoted it, Dana White. Then you got Conor and Floyd, which Dana White didn't promote it alone, but he was heavily involved in it. So tell me, how come the 3 biggest events ever in boxing, definitely this century, why is Dana White part of 2 of them? And now he's getting involved in it.
Well, the one thing that I am excited and optimistic about Dana, having involvement in boxing is the one aspect of how he's run UFC is one of the things I think we talked about in a prior episode about one of the things that we kind of respect about how UFC goes about matchmaking. You know, you're not going to see, you know, I like, you know, the way UFC does their rankings. You have, there's only one belt in each division. There's a champ, there's a number one contender, and then it's ranked after that. You don't see a lot of times a champ fighting somebody outside of the top five. You're not going to see the number one contender fighting somebody ranked 15th in the division like you would see, you know, in boxing. So that's one thing that I'm kind of optimistic that I hope he will integrate to boxing. He's not going to be able to run boxing financially the way he's run UFC because boxing is its own entity with how they, you know, how they pay fighters and whatnot. But if there was anything that I would hope and got my fingers crossed that he brings to boxing, it would be, you know, the way, you know, UFC and MMA has done their matchmaking and putting the best fights out there because nobody wants to see, you know, Canelo and Bud fight, and then the very next fight, Bud fights some bum, you know, that's, you know, some pipe fitter or something. You know,
he's already ahead of a lot of them because he has a deal already with Paramount. He's one of the only ones with the TV deal.
So I got to push back, man, just a little bit, Rod. So granted, yes, TKO promoted Canelo Crawford. But is it fair to say, like, if I promoted Canelo Crawford, it would probably that was going to get biased no matter who promoted it. I'm just saying you can't give him credit for that fight because that's the biggest fight that boxing could have had regardless of who made that fight. That's the only thing I'm appreciative of Dana White. I do like Dana White, but I'm not going to be like, man, Dana White, he's the reason why that sold so much.
Why did Turkey pick Dana White to promote it? Why didn't he pick De La Hoya, Bob Arum? Why didn't he pick it? Why did he pick? Because he knew he was going to promote the right way from the press conference. And you have to admit, the undercard was a lot better than all the other undercards.
I agree.
Dana White, he was right. He's like, you're actually going to give a shit about the undercards because you got the best fighting the best. So I actually watched the undercard. I never watched a boxing undercard. I tried to. I was like, God, this sucks. But I watched them, and they were competitive fights. So, you know, just look at the press conference and all that. Jeff Mullins, who's in charge of the Nevada State Commission, Athletic Commission, he even said it was the best, boxing event that he's ever, had, definitely in Nevada. So Dana White he didn't pay him out of his pocket or anything, but he promoted it and he did a lot of things right.
I believe wholeheartedly that fight does not happen if Turkey and Dana aren't in the picture.
I'll agree. I agree to that.
Nobody else makes that fight happen.
I will agree to that. That I agree to. I would just, so I guess by what I was saying was, I don't think the fight was successful because Dana White promoted it. But I do agree, though, that he did get that fight made. So I guess, okay, I can admit when I'm possibly wrong, possibly. So maybe, but I just, Rod knows how I feel about you know how I feel about Dana White. Like, I appreciate everything he does. I disagree with him a lot on a lot of things he does. But, I digress, man.
Well, Dana's never coming on the podcast.
And we always tag him in the Instagram too, man. He never retweets, but no. So since we're talking about MMA, just before we go, just a couple conversations. There's one thing that Rod and I always, and Dan, our brother Dan, we're in a brothers chat, and we'll always talk about these MMA fights. What do you think the biggest fight UFC can have right now? What two people can you match against each other?
I think if you put Conor, he's gonna get the most eyeballs on him. That's gonna be the most eyeballs. Biggest fight where it means something is Jones and Aspinall.
More so than Jones Pereira.
That's a big one too. This Pereira wants to go. Will Dana let him go up? Pereira. John Jones I think John Jones wrestles him pretty easily. I think so, but it would be a big fight. I think either one of those, but I still think Aspinall is the bigger fight just because they're both heavyweights. But Conor's going to get the most eyeballs because he's Conor McGregor. he has that fan base. Everyone's gonna make, like, on a Saturday night, if Conor's fighting, everyone, whether you're a casual fan or a diehard fan, is gonna make it a point. We're gonna watch that fight.
Okay, man.
Yeah,
I want to see. I did see DC mention something in the last couple of days. I saw one of his quotes that said if Pereira was to go up and fight John and somehow ended up with a win, that you would have to start talking about Pereira as, one of the GOATs.
The good thing about Dana is if enough fans want to see it, he's going to do it. He didn't want to do Floyd and Conor, but if the fans demand it enough, he's going to do it. So you can see that, especially if the fans are lobbying for it.
So I'll ask you your personal opinion on this. We've talked about it plenty. It's a two-part question. One, why do you think fans are anti-John Jones? And why do you think people prefer him versus Aspinall so much?
Why do they prefer him? The guy hasn't lost yet. I mean, how many times he's taken just time off, like over a year off, and come back and just dominated, dominant finishes, dominant wins. I mean, you just can't argue. I mean, how do you bet against someone who hasn't lost yet? Now, there's been some debatable decisions, but they did. I mean, he won those fights. Like you said, you feel like the close round should go to the champion. He had some close fights, but I mean, how do you
be clear? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut, but to be clear, it's because me and CJ talked about this before. It's not. I don't think close round should go to. I think toss-up rounds should go to the champ. If it's like, give it to the champ. Not like, it's close, but this person's better. If it's even,
that's what I meant. That
round goes to the champ. So I just wanted to, okay, my bad. Go ahead, man.
And the other question, why some people don't, just because he does some stuff. I mean, even you heard a fan one time say, I'm a fan of yours and I like you, but man, you're hard to root for because he does so much of that stuff
off the court,
outside the cage. But man, you just can't argue the fact that what he's doing in the, I mean, living that lifestyle he lived and still going in the cage and just beating the best of the best and these legends. I was like, can you imagine if he actually took it serious during those fight camps? Like what? That's why.
Anybody who's out there looking for boxers, UFC fighters, and to some point even football players, if you're looking for people who have a violent way of earning their money and their career choice, why are you looking at these people to be your role models? You have to be a certain type of a-hole to be a fighter, bro. You have to tap into a side of you that the normal person cannot tap into, and to do it for that long. So of course they're gonna fall into some dark holes sometimes, and they're gonna do some stuff that random Joe walking down the street ain't gonna do. But that's what happens when you train to bash people's heads in. Like, I don't get how we shouldn't be looking at these people to be our role models for our kids, bro. Like, so stop it. All of that, I like you, but you're hard to root for, man. Just say that he the damn GOAT and keep moving. We ain't looking for him to come to your church or come, read to your kindergarten class. We talking about fighting, bro. Like, man, whatever.
Dana White said it best, man. He had, people ask him all the time, and he has no hesitation. He says John Jones to go. He's like, that dude he goes to a dark place. Yeah. And he's like, that dude, he literally told DC on the air that he would kill him and meant it. Like, there was no laugh about it.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He's a different guy, man.
You got to tap into something that the ordinary person can't tap into. So.
All right, man. But before we head out, Rod, just thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks. It's not like I didn't want to have you on, but it's like Dan was like, so we have a brothers chat, and they're always Dan always gives me ideas like, man, you got to have this person, you got to have this person.
Yeah, he'll give you 20 names.
He will give you 20 names of people that are just not even obtainable.
He'll
be like, get Jordan. Like, what?
3 years worth of shows and
Dennis Rodman,
Thomas. But I appreciate the feedback and everything. It's awesome. I mean, it's better than not giving a damn. But absolutely. He had said, you can vouch for it, man. He's like, man, put Rod on there, man. I mean, first of all, you're right in line with what we talk about all the time on this podcast anyways. I mean, you're in MMA. I mean, we've had Neil on. We love our MMA. We, you know about sports, and like I said, the Galvan name is synonymous with Thornwood, so that goes along with the podcast. So, I mean, like I said, shout out to Dan for giving us the idea to have you on. Rod does not live in Illinois, so we'd have to catch him whenever he comes in town. Mm-hmm. This probably won't be out till afterwards, but I got a milestone birthday coming up, so Rod is in town to help me celebrate. So he was like, "Man, let's do it while I'm in." So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we made it happen. But love you, man. Appreciate you coming on. And I always got to ask you, what is something that you want the name Rod Galvan to be remembered for? It's a deep question. My bad. I kind of
no. Someone that just made an impact, on a positive impact on people's lives. Just, that's why I'm a high school teacher. I'm a high school coach. Some of the best advice. I didn't receive it personally, but I saw, you remember Tap Out, the clothing, the one who passed away, Mask. He once said, I may not, reach out and touch 1 million people, but I may touch that one person who goes out and can reach 1 million people. And that's what it's about, man. If I can, just make a difference in some people, and if they can go out and do the same thing, I mean, that's how I want to remember, just for like being a positive role model for these kids, and, that I coach and teach.
It's good stuff, man.
It's dope, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anything you want to add in before?
No, I can't add nothing better than that. That's a good way to close it out. Yeah, man. That's life lessons.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys watch CFFC. Like tune in the UFC Fight Pass. And we've had UFC legends come through us. We've had guys that just got called up recently to the UFC, and we got some guys coming up on some cards who are going to be in the UFC. So watch us. I mean, it's pretty cool. You'll be like, oh wow, this is awesome. You're going to see a lot of these guys, earlier in their careers, because in a year or two, they're going to be headlining UFC events.
Yep. And for everybody, the fights that aren't on Fight Pass are on OnlyFans. So I know your little freaky self got an OnlyFans. So tune in for the CFFC fights that stream on OnlyFans. But no, also it's when we went, and every time I've went, man, the promotion is great. You put on a great show.
Oh man.
Oh man, just that's good content right there. But they put on a great promotion, man. It's awesome, and I'm not just saying that because he's my brother. I mean, he does the matchmaking behind the scenes the day of. I mean, you're pretty much hands off at that point.
Yeah.
So, but no, it really is. It's awesome, and if you're just a fan of MMA, this is where you get your chance to see, like you said, those up and comers. So yeah, support anybody that follows Room A-108. Go check out CFFC, or also, if you have someone that's in the fight, someone that's ready to get their name out there, taking it serious, and just needs a break. I'm not saying light me up and have my brother give you the connect. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, CFFC may be something you want to reach out to and maybe try to go that route.
He's saying, but he's not saying.
I'm not saying.
The UFC matchmakers watch our product.
Yeah.
We're on their streaming, and they watch us. We're on there for a reason, so they watch us. So
yep.
If you're good, they're gonna know who you are if you fight for us.
Yeah. So you are our first guest on season 2. So man, it's awesome. Glad to have you on. Looking forward to spending more time with you while you're in town, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. But for everybody, it's another episode of Room A-108. Thanks for stopping by.